Hey everyone, this is my speak heuristic, and just to give you an overview, this is a PowerPoint. It's going to walk through the different scaffolding that will take place as I teach the students how to recognize figurative language in literature. On the next page, we'll continue to see what my teacher goal is, and that is that students will learn to recognize figurative language in literature, and because of this, learn to read deeper and to make meaning out of what they read. And just a quick note about the fact that this is going to be used for 9th grade students in a 9th grade literature class. And my reasoning behind that is a lot of it has to do with the Bushman and Haas text. On page 6 in chapter 1, they write, research indicates that most high school adolescents are able to reason at the formal operational level. In general, these students have reached intellectual maturity, and most are able to think in a systematic manner, to reason by implication at the abstract level. And I think that these students are going to be very well equipped to reason at an abstract level and understand this figurative language that we see so much of in the book Speak. And I think that because there is so much of these this type of language in the book, that they're going to gain a lot of understanding and deeper meaning for their own ability to carry them through high school. It's going to set them up as a foundation for the rest of their high school career and into college, I feel. And I also think that this book is appropriate for 9th graders because the book is about students that are entering high school, and so these high school students are going to understand exactly what the book is talking about, and I think will gain a lot of insights into their own lives when they read it. So the first thing that I'm going to do with them is find out what do they know already. So we're going to have journals. I call them their speak journals, and they're going to write before we start even reading they're going to write, what do I know about figurative language, what do I want to know, and what do I expect to learn. And I'm looking for some type of definition for some of the figurative language that I have listed, and that way I'll know from there how much I'll need to cover in my mini lessons with them. And then we're going to start reading as a class together, and we're going to start getting into, I have mini lessons that I'll be teaching as we read the book together. And so by this point in time, the students will understand metaphor, and this activity will help them to see how metaphors work more clearly by applying them to themselves, applying a metaphor to themselves. So they're going to describe themselves in the form of a metaphor, and then I'm going to have them take it a little bit further and talk about if they were whatever they say they are, whatever their metaphor is, what would they be doing and how would they describe that. And all of that's going to go in their speak journal for later on for other assignments that we have. We're also going to have group discussions. So the students will be broken up into groups from the beginning, and as we read, they will sit together in groups, and each group will be responsible for making notes about certain types of figurative language. This is just another part of the scaffolding so that each group is assigned some of the symbolism and also some figurative language, and that's going to kind of give everybody a chance to look at many different aspects in the book that have to do with figurative language. And then we'll also have many discussions as we go throughout the reading of the book about what they are finding, and all of that's going to go in their speak journals, which they'll be able to use later. We also have an assignment for similes, and that's going to go into their journals and will be utilized again for the final project. And so here's the final project, the artifact that I really want to get from them besides just the journal, which I will also be taking into account and looking at as we read the book and go through. And also the discussions are going to be a big part of one part of the scaffolding. And here we have the final project, and that is that I want the students to write a poem that represents their personal metaphor and they have to be sure to include their similes as well, and they also have to include one instance of every type of figurative language that we spoke about, we discussed, and wrote about in our journals. So along with that, along with the poem that they write, then they will create a graphic representation of their personal metaphor using Prezi, and they will only use their poem and then images. Instrumental music is optional, and I'm going to try to see if I can show you guys an example of a Prezi that I did to show the students, and this will be what I'm looking for from them at the end. And I really think that this is going to give them a great understanding of figurative language and how it works in a book and how it can work in their own writing and how they can look at literature from now on in that way. Let's see. Here's my Prezi. Pay no attention to this terrible poem I wrote. Hopefully the students' poems will be better. And these are some images that support the poem. And the students will be expected to give images as well that support the poem about themselves. Mine is about Melinda, because I felt like that was a great example for them to see how to do their own. So that's the end of my heuristic, and I thank everyone and look forward to your comments.